Most legendary Pokemon are genderless, but very few are only female. Do you think you can name every single female-only legendary Pokemon that exists? I will give the answer to that question in just a moment. Now, it has been quite a while since I used a GIRLYPOP team, which is an entire team of Pokemon that can only be female. So today, I will be using a full team of legendary Pokemon that are GIRLYPOP. The tricky thing about this team is that there are only 4 female-only legendary Pokemon. Those being Latias, Cresselia, Enamorus, and Ogerpon. So in order for me to make a full team of 6, I'm using both versions of Enamorus and 2 Ogerpon masks on the same team. If you have an idea for a Pokemon team, be sure to comment below, and I will use it. And if you like this kind of content, feel free to subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Now let's get right into the battles. Good morning, afternoon, and evening, lovely people. Today I am using the most GIRLYPOP legendary Pokemon. Now, you may make an argument for Enamorus, but I actually really like Enamorus, okay? So I'll explain that in a bit. So I'm actually going to lead off with my Enamorus, actually. I have 2 interesting battles to showcase, and this battle was just a doozy. So I'm going to bring in my Cresselia. I really didn't like my lead matchup into the Talonflame, because I really couldn't do much to it, so I'm swapping in my Cresselia. So this Talonflame is going to set up the Tailwind and then Brave Bird me. Now, I'm physically defensive on this Cresselia. This is a pretty interesting Cresselia set. So, I do have Calm Mind Stored Power on this, and I have Shadow Ball, interestingly, but I don't have a recovery move on this. The investment on this thing, the training that I have on this Pokemon is all over the place. I have max defense on this. I have quite a lot of special attack investment. I have some HP investment and very little bit in speed, which is enough to just outspeed like defensive Glomora and like defensive Rotom. So Abomasnow comes in, and I was pretty worried because this Pokemon is going to set up the Aurora Veil, considering that the Talonflame set up the Tailwind, which is going to allow this Abomasnow to outspeed me. I was gonna do a lot of damage with the stored power, but after the Veil, it's not really gonna be doing too much damage. Now, this team was originally gonna be meant for Mother's Day, but I'm actually very close to graduating, so I've been preparing for like my own graduation and everything, and things have been pretty hectic. So I apologize for the scattered uploads as of late, but I'm graduating this Tuesday, which is extremely exciting. So I've just been preparing for that. So yeah. Anyway, so I can't believe I'm graduating. So I'm gonna go for the stored power on the Talonflame, and the Talonflame has an eject button. So I guess they wanted to set up the Gale Wings Tailwind and then eject on out of there. And they're gonna bring in the Mimikyu. So this Mimikyu is nicknamed Surprise. So I was like, okay, this is like 100% red card Mimikyu. But this is fine because I'm going to break its disguise, and depending on the Pokemon that is brung out, I should be able to hopefully be able to deal with this Pokemon. So I'm going to break the Mimikyu's disguise, and they do end up having the red card. So I was like, okay, I'm fine with like my Ogerpon being swapped in. I just really hope it's not Latias. Oh my gosh, it's Latias. No, this is like the worst possible Pokemon it could have brought me into. I'm running a Scarf Latias, but with the Aurora Veil, I really wasn't going to be doing much of anything to this. So they're going to go for the Shadow Sneak. I do tank that because I'm like max defense on this Cresselia. And I thought, well, I do have Shadow Ball, but it's not really going to be doing a lot of damage. I kind of had to stall out the Aurora Veil. So they are going to go for the Shadow Claw. Thankfully, I do live that. Mimikyu's attack is not really that high. So I'm going to go for the Shadow Ball. And I do some okay damage despite the Veil. So I was like, well, I need to stall out the turns of this Aurora Veil because this Mimikyu is actually a pretty threatening Pokemon. So they're going to go for the Shadow Sneak. That's going to be enough to take me out. And I thought, well, I don't want to Terrasilize early on. I really want to weaken this and like stall out the Veil. So bringing in my Ogerpon Wellspring. Now, I don't have a guitar, but I do have Encore on this. This is a Swords Dance Encore Ogerpon Wellspring. Really, I wanted to bring this in to weaken this Mimikyu and also stall out the Aurora Veil. So I'm gonna get taken out there. I'm like down 4-6 at the moment, but the Veil runs out, and it's time for me to bring in the Estrogenie. I love this nickname. So they're gonna go for the Shadow Sneak. Obviously, they're gonna try to chip me. Now, this is a pretty astonishing set. I have Astonish on this. This is a physical Enamorus, and I have Contrary Superpower on this with the Lumberry. So Abomasnow comes in. Maybe they think I'm like Choice Scarfed or something, and that's what Enamorus usually runs, but I'm just gonna outspeed them. And thankfully, Superpower was able to take them out. If they were like max defense, I think they had a chance of tanking the hit, but I was able to knock them out and get the attack boost, which is really, really good. I denied the Veil as well. So Garchomp comes in. I do have Play Rough, but I thought This is just screaming Terra, and if I go for Play Rough as a Terra Steel Iron Head, I'm just gonna lose my Enamorus. So this turn, I opted to go for the Superpower. Garchomp does Terrasilize into a Steel type, and the Superpower one-shots the Garchomp. Oh my goodness, that was a really helpful prediction, because I was able to take out the Garchomp, and I was able to get rid of their Terrasilize option as well. And that's also gonna give me another attack boost and defense boost. So Quaxclaval comes in. They probably don't think I have Play Rough, but now I'm gonna reveal my Play Rough. One-shot the Quaxclaval. I had to see the reaction to that. They must have been just absolutely floored when they saw that. So going for another Play Rough. Hydropple is normally very bulky, but Hydropple is not going to be able to withstand the Play Rough. And the last Pokemon is the Talonflame. I kind of figured this was like a more bulky Talonflame, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to finish this battle in style. I have Terra Ghost Astonish, and Astonish is going to be boosted to 60 base power because of the way Terrasilization works. So going for that Terra Ghost Astonish, this is astonishing, and I'm going to take out the Talonflame. That is a 6-0 Enamorus sweep. I don't normally upload sweeps, but like, Enamorus is a Pokemon that not many people really like at all, but I really like Enamorus personally, so just getting that sweep, especially on a GIRLYPOP legendary team. That's what you call GIRLYPOP right there. I like this video if you're enjoying these two battles, by the way. I would really appreciate if, more people would see these videos. So on to the second game. The second game was also just wild. So I'm going to go for the Spiky Shield. I also did not like this lead matchup. I actually get to explain this Ogerpon set. Now, this is a pretty interesting set. It's also a very important set, and I really can't do much to the Thundurus, and I also don't want to get paralyzed. So I'm going to bring in my Enamorus Turtle mode. Now, this Pokemon is really unpopular. It's probably more unpopular than vanilla, like Enamorus Incarnate. I do like the snake on its back, I will say that. So I'm going to get taunted, but it doesn't matter because I get fully paralyzed anyway. I'm actually not running any status moves. This is an Assault-vested Stellar Terra Enamorus Therian. Now, I have a Moonblast, Mystical Fire, Sludge Bomb, and Earth Power. I get paralyzed again, though. Not like I would have done anything to this Blissey if it was, like, more specially defensive, but they are going to go for these Seismic Toss as I switch in my Ogerpon. So I thought, well, they don't really like switching into Ivy Cudgel from this, so I could go for the Ivy Cudgel freely, and the Chanpao is going to come in. Now, this Pokemon was a huge threat. If it had a Sash, I did break it, but I wasn't sure what item this Chanpao has. It's actually going to come into play very much later. So I'm going to bring in my Cresselia. I do dodge an Icicle Crash, but I really couldn't do much to this. I wanted to, at the very least, I wanted to skill swap away its a Sword of Ruin, but Blissey comes in, and I thought, okay, that's fair. Blissey is a very specially defensive wall, so they could easily swap in on whatever I could do. So I get Natural Cure at the very least, but yeah, I don't really want to stay in. I can't really set up and do much versus this Blissey. So I'm going to bring in my Ogerpon, but the Blissey ends up singing me to sleep. I was like, oh my gosh, that's bad. That's really bad. My Ogerpon is obviously like a really important Pokemon in this game, and like it has really great coverage for their team. So like, you know, if I stayed in with my Cresselia earlier, I would have Natural Cured away the sleep. Oh my gosh. So Miraidon comes in, and I thought, this is like really bad. I don't really have any switch-ins. I decided to switch in my Enamorus just in case they went for like a Dragon move and maybe they were like locked in, but they opted to Terrasilize like immediately, and they go for Terra Electric. So I was like, this Pokemon is going to be really problematic, and they also have Calm Mind as well. I was like, no, that's really scary, but I do have options. So the Miraidon is going to get that special attack defense boost. They're going to go for the Electro Drift, Terra Electric in the electric terrain with this thing's Hadron engine. That is easily going to take out my Enamorus Therian, which is unfortunate. I got like paralyzed twice. I wasn't able to get off anything with that. So I'm going to bring in my Latina here. Now, this is a Choice Scarf Latias, and I have Healing Wish on this. I have Mist Ball and Draco Meteor and Trick, but I opted to go for the Healing Wish because I wanted to cure the sleep on my Ogerpon. So the Miraidon goes for another Calm Mind. Oh my gosh, if only I tricked that thing with Choice Scarf. Also, that's like a terrible play. If I tricked this Miraidon with Choice Scarf, it would have ran through my team. So, going for the Healing Wish. Now, this Ogerpon is Focus Sash. So, I recover myself up all the way up to full. I preserve my Focus Sash, and I wake up. Now, this turn I thought, well, in order to outspeed this Miraidon and do as much damage as I possibly can, I kind of have to Terrasilize and go for the Terra Grass Ivy Cudgel. It's also going to give me my Embody aspect, which is going to increase my speed as well. So this Ogerpon is like Focus Sash with Reversal. And I also have Counter on this as well, and Spiky Shield. It's really interesting. So going for that Ivy Cudgel there, it does some solid damage as a 2-hit KO, but it has a Citrus Berry. I was like, shoot, the Citrus Berry might actually make it very close as to whether or not the next Ivy Cudgel is going to take it out. So I'm going to get hit by a Dragon Pulse. That's going to put me on 1 HP. The Focus Sash Healing Wish came in super handy that turn. So I thought, is Ivy Cudgel, I'm going to need a crit in order to secure a KO, but I wonder if this is going to be enough to take it out. So going for another Ivy Cudgel, and thankfully that was probably like just enough to take out the Miraidon, which is really, really good. And also Ivy Cudgels from this Ogerpon are looking like really solid. So Thundurus comes in. I thought, I don't want to take a paralysis from this thing, so I'm just going to swap in my Cresselia. It's not really going to be the fastest thing in the world, but they go for the Scary Face. I was like, wow, okay, so they really wanted to drop my speed. Now, Thunder Wave would have done that regardless, so they're going to go for the taunt. Obviously, Cresselia and Nova like setting up, so I thought, I'm just going to go for the Shadow Ball on the taunt, just do some chip damage to this thing. Doesn't really do a whole lot of damage, but I do at least some damage. It's better than none. So I'm going to swap in my Enamorus. They're actually going to go for the Thunder Wave this turn, so I have a Lumberry, so I thought, well, my paralysis is going to get cured, and I can start setting up like superpowers here. Like, I know that they may go for a paralysis on me, but they go for the Endure. So this Thundurus set, it's Thunder Wave, Taunt, Scary Face, and Endure. It's like a status move, like Prankster only Thundurus. I was like, what is this? I don't even know what item it's running. Like, is it Salac Berry with a Prankster only status move? That's cooking. So the Great Tusk comes in. I don't see a booster energy or anything, so after the superpower damage, I'm like, okay, it's got to be like a more defensive Great Tusk. And the Rocky Helmet chip that I took basically confirms that. So I thought, well, Play Rough from that range, from a fully defensive Great Tusk, is not actually going to take it out. So I want to get another defense boost. I am taking a lot of Rocky Helmet damage, but it's to ensure that I am able to tank the Ice Spinner, which I imagine that the Great Tusk has. And I'm going to go for another superpower and take out the Great Tusk. Now, the unfortunate thing is that I took a lot of Rocky Helmet chip damage, but at the very least, I was able to take out the very defensive Great Tusk. So the Chanpao comes in. Now, I wasn't sure what item this Chanpao was running, if this was like Choice Banded or Sash or Boots, but they're going to go for the Icicle Crash. That's actually going to take me out even after all of my defense boosts. So that doesn't really confirm whether or not this Chanpao is choiced or not. So I'm going to swap in my Cresselia. If they do have like Crunch or a Dark move, I was thinking that they may go for that, but they end up swapping. So I was like, in my mind, I was like, okay, that has to be choiced, because if they have like Crunch or something, they would have gone for it that turn, right? So I just opted to skill swap that turn. I really wanted to skill swap away the Sword of Ruin just in case they were. So I swapped in my Ogerpon. This was a very risky switch in, but I imagined that this Gastrodon was going to set up hazards, and they do set up the spikes. So I was like, okay, that's perfect, because if they set up spikes as like I left my Cresselia in, then my Ogerpon was basically just fated. And this Pokemon is really important because I could go for the Terra Grass Ivy Cudgel, and they don't have any switch-ins into this. So I'm just going to be able to absolutely one-shot the Gastrodon. That 4-time super effective with this in Terra, which is brutal. Now the Chanpao comes in. Now I do have Spiky Shield on this, so I thought, well, I can scout what this Chanpao is going to go for if they are choiced. And they go for the Sucker Punch. So I was like, okay, that's really good. They probably locked themselves into Sucker Punch. So as I go for another Spiky Shield, it fails. But then the Chanpao is Icicle Crash. So I was like, oh my gosh, it's not choiced at all. But that should be fine. I do lose my Ogerpon and my speed advantage, but knowing that this Pokemon is not choice banned, it means it's not as powerful as it would be if it did have a choice ban, which is good, because as long as I'm at the HP that I'm at with my Ogerpon Wellspring, I should be able to tank any hit from the Chanpao. So they're going to swap into their Thundurus, they're going to sacrifice their Thundurus, I guess, and I'm going to take them out with the Ivy Cudgel, which is good. So the next Pokemon is Blissey. If this was a defensive Blissey, it was probably going to be able to tank this Ivy Cudgel, but I just one-shot the Blissey. I was like, oh my goodness, it was probably like more specially defensive than defensive. So the last Pokemon is Chanpao. I'm really worried about Icicle Crash like also flinching me, but I should be able to tank it, but they missed the Icicle Crash. Holy smokes. And my Ogerpon Wellspring is going to go for another Ivy Cudgel, and that's going to take out the Chanpao. That's the end of both games. Thank you all so much for watching this GIRLYPOP legendary team. My name is SkyLaaa. Don't forget to smile, and I will see you all next time.